Hey guys, it's yours truly coming back at you all with another one, and today is going to be the top 20 trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. And now, there were so many trap cards to choose from that didn't make the top 20, so I would like to give them an honorable mention as they are really decent to consider utilizing in any deck to make your deck as versatile and defensive as it could possibly be. And first up we have Blazing Mirror Force, Compulsory Evacuation Device, Drowning Mirror Force, Imperial Iron Wall, Light Imprisoning Mirror, Mirror Force, Quaking Mirror Force, Ring of Destruction, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, and Storming Mirror Force. Those 10 are also decent trap cards that can be utilized and splashed into just about any deck. And with those 10 honorable mentions, let's get straight to it. The top 20 strongest trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. And the card that got the number 20 spot, we have Mask of Restrict. This card, basically, neither player can tribute summon, so it can completely lock out Monarch players out of the game, as well as slow down Quillport decks and prevent the effects of last tricks that can go into a Ultimate Falcon and get you a number 77 7 Sins, as well as prevent the effect activation of Stardust Dragon and Assault Mode Stardust Dragon. And the card that got the number 19 spot, we have Torrential Tribute. When a monster or monster is summoned, destroy all monsters on the field. This can be chained to when your opponent summons another level 4 or a tuner and non-tuner monster. You can then destroy all monsters on the field before they can synchro or exceed summon, or in response to the summon of a fusion summon. Some players wait until after the synchro exceed monster is summoned to trigger Torrential Tribute to destroy it, but the only real issue with that is that you now leave a legitimately summoned monster in the graveyard that can be revived by a Soul Charge or Call of the Haunted, meaning that when that monster is revived via either method, you still have the issue of dealing with that troublesome monster. Now then, the card that got the number 18 spot, we have Stargent Dread. Reduce the level of all monsters your opponent controls by 1. And this card effect is really powerful as it can mess with your opponent's synchro and exceed plays in BA decks, making it unable for your opponent to go into their rank 3 Dante to further their combos, as well as reduce the level of monsters in synchro decks for each one by 1, reducing the ability to synchro summon by 2 levels, which can stop that all-powerful shooting Quasar Dragon from ever coming. Now then, the card that got the number 17 spot on the list, we have Judgment of Anubis. When your opponent activates a spell card that would destroy a spell or trap card or cards on the field, discard 1 card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Then you can destroy 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, and if you do that, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's attack on the field. Meaning this is an excellent 2-for-3 card, as cards like Twin Twister and MST are still a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! And being able to protect your spell and trap cards from spell destruction, negating the spell card that would destroy them, being able to destroy an opponent's monster as well as burn them for that monster attack is an excellent 2-for-3 play, and like I said, I don't see why not. And the card that got the number 16 spot on the list, we have Chain Disappearance. When a monster or monsters with 1,000 or less attack is summoned, banish that monster or monsters with 1,000 or less attack then your opponent banishes all cards with the same name as that card or cards from their hand and deck. This can be a very powerful card, especially against Dante, being able to banish the Dante on the field and the 2 Dantes out of the extra deck, basically almost killing a BA or a PK fire deck. And as well as if you combo this card with a double Burden of the Mighty, it can bring even the strongest set of monsters to their knees and their attack to 1,000 or less, meaning that you can then use this card's effect against them to banish them on the field and out of the deck, as well as if your opponent is pendulum summoning monsters, being affected by double Burden of the Mighty does the exact same thing, can bring their attack to 1,000 or less, and then you are now able to banish multiple different pendulum summon monsters from both the field, from their field, hand, and from their deck, making this an excellent card to combo with multiple Burdens of the Mighty. Now then, the card that got the number 15 spot on the list, I think we have, if I'm not mistaken, it should be Starlight Road. Yeah, Starlight Road. When a card or effect is activated that would destroy 2 or more cards you control, negate the effect, and if you do destroy that card, then you can special summon 1 Starter Dragon from your extra deck. So Twin Twisters, Dark Hole, Regeki, Black Rose Dragon, they are a thing in terms of nuking the board, and Starlight Road is an excellent way to protect both your monsters, spells, and trap cards, as well as get a level 8 Synchro Body 2500 attack on the field for no additional cost, which also has the effect to protect your cards from being destroyed by other card effects. So this is an excellent 1-for-2 card in terms of protection. Now then, the card that got the number 14 spot on the list, we have Timespace Trap Hole. When your opponent special summons a monster or monsters from the hand or extra deck, shuffle that monster or monsters into the deck, then you lose 1000 life points for each returned monster. This trap card is especially effective against pendulum summon monsters or when monsters are revived via soul charge, being able to send up to 5 monsters from the field to the deck, paying 5,000 really slows down the opponent's combos and players. As with pendulum decks, if their pendulum monsters are sent back to the deck, the opponent then has to wait for a chance to pendulum summon if they draw a pendulum monster. So if you can destroy their pendulum scale during your next turn, you then can hold off a pendulum player for at least, or shut them down for at least 1 turn. And the only way I can see a pendulum player coming back from that situation of being Timespace and then a Twin Twister on their scales is if they were to draw into a monkey board, play the monkey board, add Skullcrabat Joker, summon the Skullcrabat Joker, add a Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon from the deck, place it in the zone, blow it up, and then add a Performable Unicorn to then perform a pendulum summon of their Odd Eyes in their next turn. Now then, the card that got the number 13 spot on the list, we have Deep Dark Trap Hole. When a level 5 or higher effect monster or monsters is special summoned, banish that level 5 or higher effect monster or monsters. And this card is also very effective against high level pendulum summon monsters, as it will banish them right away, as well as high level monsters that are also summoned by soul charge. This card is also effective against Stardust Dragon, as its effect does not destroy it but straightforward or strictly banishes it upon summon. And the card that got the number 12 spot on the list is Bottomless Trap Hole. When your opponent summons a monster or monsters with 1500 or more attack, destroy that monster or monsters with 1500 or more attack, and if you do, banish it. This card is extremely effective against pendulum summoned monsters, as you can destroy them and banish them in one go that all have 1500 or more attack, as well as if your opponent normal summons a monster with 1500 or more attack. If it has an annoying effect, you can then choose to bottomless it, destroy it, and banish it. Now then, the card that got the number 11 spot on the list, we have Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. All face-up level 6 or higher special summon monsters on the field cannot declare an attack or activate their effects. This card straight up neuters cards like Assault Mode Starter Dragon and Shooting Quasar Dragon, as they are unable to attack or activate their effects. And you can then combo this card with cards like Caius the Dark Monarch, where you would use this effect to banish those monsters with no resistance, as well as Neo-Spatian Grand Mole. You can summon the Neo-Spatian Grand Mole and then run into either of those monsters and basically send them back to the hand, and your opponent cannot activate their monster's effect in response. Now then, the card that got the number 10 spot on the list, we have Royal Decree. Negate all of the trap cards effects on the field. And ladies and gentlemen, this card is powerful. You no longer have to worry about any trap card in the Yu-Gi-Oh game once this card has been successfully activated and is in full effect on the field. And the card that got the number 9 spot, we have Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Tribute 1 dark monster with 1500 or more attack and declare 1 card type, spell or trap. Check your opponent's hand, all spells, traps they control, and all cards they draw until the end of their 3rd turn after this card's activation, and destroy all cards of that type. This card is extremely powerful, especially in the current meta where spells are excellent in determining your deck speed and getting cards from your deck to your hand, as well as drawing additional cards. And basically going first and selecting spells shuts out all powerful spell card effects by destroying them before they can even be played, and as well as with the ability of checking your opponent's hand, all spell and trap cards they control, and all cards that they draw for the next 3 turns is like playing Yu-Gi-Oh with your opponent's hand revealed, which means you can assess all possible plays that can be made by your opponent. And the card that got the number 8 spot on the list, we have Mistake. Neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand except by drawing them, and everyone knows drawing is power in Yu-Gi-Oh, and amongst draw power is the ability to search and add what you want. And with more cards coming out with effects that allow you to search your deck and basically add what you want from your deck to your hand, utilizing this card is really going to cut down your opponent's potential in half, literally. And the card that got the number 7 spot on the list, we have Soul Drain. Activate by paying 1000 life points. Monsters that are banished, as well as monsters in the graveyard, cannot activate the effects that start a chain. So basically you can shut down Burning Abyss decks, PK Fire decks, Dark World decks, and monsters like Necroface, who effect activates when it is banished, cannot be activated. So you get to literally shut out those kinds of decks, or any decks where monster effects would activate in the graveyard or when they are banished. And the card that got the number 6 spot on this list is Skill Drain. Activate by paying 1000 life points. The effects of all face-up monsters on the field are negated while those monsters are face-up on the field, but their effects can still be activated. With Skill Drain, this basically just neuters all face-up monsters on the field. This card is excellent when comboed with cards like Stardust Dragon and Lastrix, as you can still activate Stardust's effect. Stardust Dragon's effect tributes himself to resolve. Stardust and cards of such that tribute themselves to activate their effects when they resolve are no longer face up on the field, therefore their effects go through. So Stardust can also protect this card, as well as using Last Tricks to tribute itself for a Ultimate Falcon to go into a number 77 7 cents. To have a foreground beater on the field is also excellent. And now then, the card that got the number 5 spot on this list is Anti-Spell Fragrance. And as I said before, playing in a meta ruled by mainly spell cards that allow for excellent consistency in decks, playing Anti-Spell Fragrance really slows down a player's momentum, as they would now, as the card effect says, both players must set spell cards before activating them and cannot activate them until their next turn. So being able to slow your opponent down from playing spell cards is excellent. And also with them setting their spell cards are now vulnerable to spell and trap card destruction effects, meaning you can now destroy their set spells before they can even activate them, eliminating the threat of extremely powerful spell cards. As well as this card is also excellent against pendulum decks, as pendulum monsters cannot be set in the scale. Therefore, your opponent cannot set their pendulum scale to pendulum summon, shutting down their pendulum summoning ability. Now then, the card that got the number 4 spot on this list, we have Vanity's Emptiness. Neither player can special summon monsters. If a card is sent from the deck or field to the graveyard, destroy this card. This effect is really powerful and has single-handedly won me many duels. I cannot even count the number. By comboing this card with Majesty's Fiend stops monster effects from activating, and Vanity's Emptiness stops the special summon of monsters. So this card cannot even be, Majesty's Fiend wouldn't be erased off the field by a kaiju or monster with a special summon effect, or that special summons itself as a cost due to Vanity's Emptiness, and Majesty's Fiend prevents monster effects from being activated. And it is also a 2400 level 6 monster on the field, as well as comboing this card with Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon, as it is unaffected by other card effects, so my opponent can no longer special summon, as well as upon activating Ultimate Falcon's effect during my turn, my opponent cannot activate cards or effects for the rest of that turn, as well as all monsters they control lose 1000 attack points, giving a sure execution upon attack. You don't have to worry about battle fader, you don't have to worry about any trap cards to be activated that can possibly stop or reduce damage for the rest of that turn. So comboing Vanity's Emptiness after you then summon an extremely powerful monster on the field can win you games. And using an Exceed monster's effect while Vanity's Emptiness is on the field, Exceed overlay units are not considered on the field, so using them does not trigger Emptiness effect to destroy itself. Now then, the card that got the number 3 spot on the list is Solemn Strike. When a monster or monsters would be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, pay 1500 life points, negate the summon or activation, and if you do, destroy that card. This card is really powerful, especially against pendulum decks, as your opponent can pendulum summon out 5 monsters and you can negate the summon of all 5 of them and destroy them. This card is also excellent against annoying monster effects that can be activated during the battle phase, such as Battle Fader and Hornets, that can be real game changers in clutch situations. Now then, the card that got the number 2 spot on this list is Solemn Warning. When a monster or monsters would be summoned, or when a spell card, trap card, or monster effect is activated that includes an effect that special summons a monster or monsters, pay 2000 life points, negate the summon or activation, and if you do, destroy that card. This card is also extremely effective against pendulum summon monsters, as you can negate the summon of all of those monsters and destroy them, as well as soul charge, and also against monsters that would be normal summons. So basically, having the ability to stop a monster from being summoned is extremely powerful, as you no longer have to deal with the threat of that monster face up on the field. And like I said, the most effective way to play this game is to prevent your opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And preventing your opponent from summoning out anything is powerful. Now then, the card that got the number 1 spot on this list is Solemn Scalding. If this card is the only set card in your spell and trap card zone when a monster would be summoned, or a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, pay 3000 life points, negate the summon or activation, and if you do, destroy that card. This card is single-handedly the current strongest trap card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist, as it can negate the summon of a monster, whether it be special, normal, flip, any summon of any kind. It can negate, as well as it can also negate the activation of any spell, trap, or monster effect activated. So you have a single negate anything card. This card has the power to single-handedly put an end to anything that can possibly happen in the world of Yu-Gi-Oh!, making it the strongest trap card in Legacy of the Duelist. Also, these trap cards were selected from weakest to strongest based on their ability to prevent the opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, stun or negate their effects, and get rid of their cards at the earliest convenient time possible. So when playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, whenever you're unable to prevent your opponent from playing cards or stunning or negating their effects, making sure that your trap cards get rid of your opponent's cards, whether it be spell, trap, or monsters, at the earliest convenient time possible is key in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's how the top 20 trap cards were selected. Hit me up in the comment section below and let me know what are your favorite trap cards. And this has been the 20 strongest trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. So until next time, later.